Greetings. I am Taven of a Mind Transformed, and this is Manna for Your Journey. What we all have in common, whether saved or not, no matter our background, socioeconomic status, where we were born, raised, our family, no matter the job we have, what we've achieved in life, the one thing that's the great equalizer that we're all going to experience at some point, one time or another, is hurt. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, how often, and how long. So we must all have a way to, or at least have experienced hurt, and we've all had to come up with ways of how to move past it. Basically, how to survive hurt. We are saved. We can walk with God. He tells us to praise Him in all things. But what God never promised us and never said He would protect us from is hurt. God mends the broken heart. He's close to the crushed in spirit. God can heal anything and everything that is presented to Him. But that doesn't mean hurt will be prevented. So how do we survive hurt? 2 Samuel chapter 15 tells us the story, or starts the story, of Absalom's, David's son, revolt against David, his coup attempt. And we see during this time that Absalom puts this plan in motion years in advance. He starts winning people to his side, and then he plans to march on the capital to overthrow David and potentially take his life. David gets wind of this, he finds out, and he flees the capital. And during the time of fleeing, David leaves 10 of his concubines there, takes his wives, other members that are willing to go with him, men that are loyal to him, and he leaves. And there are times where he's weeping as he's leaving. We come across a man as David's fleeing on his journey to go out into the country in the hillside. There's a man that was from the house of Saul, the Bible tells us, and he's cursing David. Now, David has someone with him that's a real ride or die, like for real, ride or die. David's a mighty man of war. He's a mighty man of war. So that means David rolls with, hangs out, kicks it with, whatever term you like to use, other men of war. These brothers are about it. When it's time to get it in, they are typically an army. They roll with him. They don't lose. So David has a man with him that is upset that this particular person is coming out saying these things, basically cursing David's name, cursing David in a biblical sense of that. And so he says, listen, you basically, paraphrasing, you say the word and it's off with his head. We're not going to stand for this. See, they say hurt people. And while that's true, it doesn't have to be that way when we put our hurt into proper perspective and we trust God through the process. David tells this man that's ready to kill this man, leave him alone, because if God told him to curse me, who are we to tell him to stop? But then David says something key after this. He says, let God deal with me. In order to survive hurt, this hurt that David was feeling, his son was overthrowing him. He feel like he's lost everything that he had. He's having to flee, leave his palace, leave his comfort, and go someplace and hope that Absalom and his men aren't pursuing him or going to catch up with him. And in the midst of that, David never loses his trust in God. Through his pain, and he's in the midst of experiencing this pain, experiencing this hurt, he still trusts God. That's the key to being able to survive hurt in any season. Never losing our trust and faith in God. David basically was saying in this moment that even if God sent this man to yell these things at David, to tell him how he messed up, and this was repercussions for how he treated Saul and Saul's family, David still trusts God and still trusts that God is going to deal with him fairly, that God is going to deal with him in judgment, that God is still going to deal with David, and he still has his hope where it needs to be. When we're hurt, in order to survive that, what cannot be shaken, what we have to hold on, and what's going to help us get us through is our trust and our faith in God. When we trust God and we have faith in Him, we don't have to lash out at other people because we're hurt. We don't have to defend ourselves when we're down. We don't have to destroy lives. We don't have to backstab. We don't have to talk about people when we're going through, because we trust that God is still going to deal with us fairly. And David was saying, if this is something I've earned, so be it. I still want to be in the hands of a merciful God. And if this is not something I've earned, then God would justify me. In order to survive hurt, we must keep the main thing, knowing that all things work together for the good, for those that love the Lord, to those that are called according to his purpose. Hurt shouldn't cause us to lose trust or faith in God. In order to survive hurt, we need to keep our trust and our faith, knowing that God, at the appointed time, will deal with us. Well, that's all I have for you today. Again, my name is Tabin of A Mind Transformed. Be blessed.